Waiver Wire Monday special coming in red hot, so you're armed with all of the pieces you need to take your team to the top this week and every single week on the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Top waiver wire ads, and let's get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thanksgiving to all of our Canadian friends north of the border. Welcome back inside the lab to our first Waiver Wire special episode. We'll be dropping these on Sundays now, my friends, moving forward, so you're ready to go with all of the ads for the upcoming week. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook, where right now new customers can get $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 wager hits. Check out FanDuel.ca for all of the details. Waiver Wire special, my friend. It's going to take me a little bit to not butcher saying Waiver Wire Monday because we're so very used to that. However, it makes a whole lot more sense to post these on Sunday. Got a bunch of targets here. I got a lot of forwards. I got a couple of D-men, some rookies. Over to you. This is a really exciting time of the season, and one in which, Steele, you'll agree with me here, waiver wire ads could be huge to your success.
Yeah, they really can. And for some of you who took a shot on Josh Norris, Flip, you included, I don't know if you saw that.
I had to go. We're good. I thought we were going to be kind and thankful, and you're going for the jugular. Okay.
I am going for the jugular. I tried warning you all there. I tried warning you. Josh Norris, he is an absolute Band-Aid. And again, I want all the best for him. I want to see him play in the National Hockey League. He just can't stay healthy. And I don't even know what happened. It was off a face-off, and he just went down like a bag of potatoes. So, I mean, he's out on a week-to-week basis is what I heard. So this is why we do what we do, bringing you these waiver wire ads. And I want to start with the Boston Bruins because I tuned into both the games to start the week. The first one against the Washington Capitals, the second one against the Chicago Blackhawks. And I got to come on here and talk about two different players from the Bruins. First off, Elias Lindholm, and secondly, Nikita Zadorov. Both guys are around 30% rostered on Yahoo right now. And I just look at this Boston Bruins lineup, and I just don't think they have the depth to really add that secondary scoring of what I talked about when it comes to Morgan Geekie this upcoming year. I know they're going to get some depth scoring time, sometime throughout the year, whether it's Casey Middlestat or Pavel Zach or Victor Arvidsson. Other than those guys, especially in the bottom six, I don't really think you're going to get much out of them. It all comes down to that top line for me. And from what I've seen in the first two games, they've shown a ton of chemistry. They've shown a ton of confidence playing amongst each other. And I know Elias Lindholm is not going to jump off the page. He's dipped over the last couple of years. He had a career high 80 plus point season, 3-4 years ago, dropped down to 60, then down to 45. To me, it just comes down to that top line. And from what I've seen in the first two games, 2 goals, 3 points, a +2, 8 shots on net, 6 hits as well. He's really bringing it all right now. And he does bring some physicality on a consistent basis, is what he's done throughout his entire career, somewhere between 90 to 110 hits. If he can stay healthy and he can stay confident with what he does in the offensive zone, that top line of Pastrnak and Geekie is going to go off. So I like Elias Lindholm. The Boston Bruins have 4 games this upcoming week. Yes. Keep in mind, it is a tough schedule. Tampa Bay Lightning, Vegas Golden Knights, Colorado Avalanche, and Utah end the week for them. And then Nikita Zadorov has to be mentioned as well. 2 games in, 1 assist, 2 penalty minutes, 10 hits, 4 blocks, and 2 shots on net. Again, he's not going to jump off the page offensively. He's a banger league beauty. He's going to get upwards of over 80 penalty minutes. He had 145 last year. He had over 200 hits. He had over 100 shots, over 100 blocks. It's those peripherals you're looking at Nikita Zadorov for. And again, only in 2 games, he's averaged 23 minutes, which is a career high for him. So I like this player too.
First and foremost, I just need to address the Josh Norris shot. Don't appreciate it so much. However, I did see Lindy Ruff talking about the reaction to the question of how long he'll be out. He didn't seem overly excited about the projection of where Josh Norris lies. So keep your eye on the situation in Buffalo there, because I think it's Yuri Kulik who's going to move up into that top center spot, Steele. So there's some value there. I agree with you on your take with the Boston Bruins. I don't know what it is with the Boston Bruins. I start putting them down. I start talking smack, and look at them. 2 really good games to start the year. I know one of them was against Chicago. However, I don't want to ramble. Zach Bolduc. The Habs play the Kraken, Predators, and Rangers next week. That's a pretty favorable schedule aside from seeing Shesterkin, who just put up a shutout. 54% on Fantrax, 12 on Yahoo. I've spoken about Zach Bolduc till the cows come home. I don't think I need to speak about his value much more because he's already proving his worth. However, his teammate, and I wanted to mention this very quickly, Oliver Kapanen, to me, Steele, has really impressed already in here. 2 goals for the centerman, 14 minutes of ice time. I just like what I see from this kid. He looks very comfortable, and he's playing with Demidov on the second line. Alex Newhook is there. I know it's only a couple of games. I think this Montreal Canadiens team is one of the fastest in the NHL, just from what I've seen so far, and that means they're really hard to handle. Oliver Kapanen is the second-line center on a team that factors to score a whole bunch of goals, and they have a favorable schedule. If you're looking to maybe make one of those early waiver wires, because I'm one of those guys, Steele, that I'm hoping my early waiver wires, I can perhaps add and keep, especially if I'm filling an injury. So, Bolduc, Kapanen, I like the schedule for the Habs. They look good on offense. I will say this because we're recording so early. These percentages on these players, if they play well over the weekend, they're going to creep in a very big way, especially on teams in big markets like Montreal. So I'll throw out that caveat that 54 for Bolduc, 20% for Kapanen. Could be a lot different by the time you listen to this on Sunday, which we'll be posting it for. But I really like those couple of ads on the Montreal Canadiens deal.
Yeah, I know they had a tough loss against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They the first period they were up 2-1, and then obviously the Leafs battled back and got that win 5-2 to start off the season. But I was really impressed with a lot of their players. Bolduc being one of them. Kapanen was a very nice surprise to the lineup as well, and had some chemistry right away with that line he's playing on. So good additions. They got a very favorable week coming up. We got some more waiver wire targets coming up after the entire episode. These are your must adds for week 2 on your matchups.
We are fired up. The NHL is in full swing. Go Jays go as well. All of the vibes, Steele. Fall sports are for real. And you know where you got to be laying down your bets? That's FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL season is here. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. They have everything that you need so you don't miss any of the sports betting action. New customers at FanDuel right now that bet $5 and win, get $300 in bonus bets right back in the account. That's right. Pick a bet, put down 5. If it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Something Steele and I do, perhaps a little bit too much, Mr. Rodin. I'll speak for myself anyway. Same game parlays, in-play, futures, quick, easy, and safe cash outs. It's FanDuel that you need. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com today to download the FanDuel app and get started.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review for your boys here, Flip Livingstone and Steele Rodin. Waiver wire targets to start off the week. Oliver Bjorkstrand of the Tampa Bay Lightning. I had to come on here and talk about him. I think he's a great depth option for anybody's fantasy team. I think he's a great depth option for the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's why they acquired him. And I think he's, to start off the season, again, only one game. It's a small sample size for everybody right now, but he's playing on a good with Yanni Gourde and Connor Geekie in that bottom 6. However, I don't know how long it's going to last, but they have Bjorkstrand on the top power play unit instead of Brandon Hagel right now. Hagel is on the second power play unit. Bjorkstrand is on number 1. He got a power play goal against the Ottawa Senators to start off the season in that 5-4 loss on Thursday. However, he's at 10% right now. 1 goal, 1 power play goal, 2 hits, 1 block, 2 shots on net in that first game. This is a guy still, in my opinion, that I know he's playing in the bottom 6. He could get some opportunity in the top 6 potentially. Knock on wood if anything happens injury-wise to any of the top 6 players. But this is still a guy, in my opinion, who can put up 45, 50, 55 points on a high side, even playing in the bottom 6. And I know he only got 14 and a half minutes, 15 and a half minutes over the last 3-4 seasons now. But even then, he has the ability to stand out in the offensive zone, and that's why he's on the top power play unit.
And let's be clear, the Tampa Bay Lightning kind of produce and procure good fantasy pieces. Fifth best power play last year, Steele. Sixth best penalty kill. They scored the most goals in the NHL, and they had the best goal differential in the Eastern Conference. I don't think anyone aside from, at least in my circles, me and you talking about how much people are sleeping on the Tampa Bay Lightning this year, and I know the odds are what the odds are. In dedicated hockey circles, they get the respect. I see Tampa Bay, in my opinion, as the Eastern Conference favorite. Carolina looks really good to start. I like John Cooper that much. Victor Hedman on the back end, all of it. Anyway, love that you're bringing up Bjorkstrand.
Real quick, the schedule for the Tampa Bay Lightning this week, 4 games also on the schedule. Boston Bruins, Washington Capitals in a back-to-back situation to start off the week Monday, Tuesday. They get 2 nights off, and then they're back in a back-to-back situation starting with the Detroit Red Wings and then the Columbus Blue Jackets in the second game of that back-to-back.
Appreciate that. Yeah, got to give the love to John Cooper and the Bolts. But however, a deeper cut here, because I always want to give varying options for GMs that are out there. I always say our show is for everybody. I'm in a really deep keeper league, Steele, and guys like Philip Hedl, who, when you look at the Vancouver Canucks schedule next week, Blues, Blackhawks, Stars, and Caps. Bit of a mixed bag there. However, I like the Vancouver Canucks second line that he gets to play with right now. And I'm not going to say that I've seen a whole lot of Arsh Deep Baines hockey. Connor Garland and Philip Hedl, he looked really good the other night. And when I see him on the second power play in Vancouver and a very favorable schedule, in my opinion, he's out there in your league. So in the deeper leagues, Philip Hedl, almost like an honorable mention, because the player that I'm really excited to talk about this week is Shane Pinto. This Ottawa team is going to be a unit this year. And I know it's only the couple of games. Thank you for saying the small sample size. I think we can just say that now and get it out of the way because that's clear. Shane Pinto, we've been waiting for, right, Steele? I think he's been one of those pieces along with the rest of the Ottawa Senators just as a team ready to pop. Shane Pinto is ready to pop, and he's playing with Claude Giroux on the second line. I love what they have upcoming. You ready for this? Predators, Sabres, Kraken, and Islanders next week. Shane Pinto's my must-add. 45% on Fantrax, 10% on Yahoo. And how about his game one, Steele? I'm going to pull this up to confirm, but I believe it was a 3-point affair, and he popped 2 Genos. He looked absolutely sensational, and that's true. 2 goals, 1 assist. 19 minutes of ice time. Shane Pinto's out there in your league, Steele. I feel like this is the add and keep of the week. Tell me if I'm wrong.
It was a special season opener for the Ottawa Senators, and Shane Pinto, again, getting some opportunity. Dylan Cousins got on the score sheet as well. I wanted to come on here and talk about Shane Pinto. I had a feeling you would, so I went to a different Ottawa Senator, and I wanted to talk a lot about defensemen to start the week because I feel like Artem Zub also on the list here.
Boom.
What an absolute season opener for himself as well. 3 points. A +4, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 hits, 5 shots on net. This is what you want to see from somebody on the blue line other than Jake Sanderson, other than Thomas Chabot, and Artem Zub brought it to start the season. So he's rocking at, of course, he's going to be available 2% on Yahoo. Great streaming option this next week. Like you said, 4 games on the schedule for the Senators. Very advantageous opponents this next week coming up. So Artem Zub and Shane Pinto definitely must-adds going into week 2.
I think this might be a very obvious take to say that a team's success is so closely tied to their goaltender. But in my opinion, and I believe was it a 5-4 final in that game in the home opener?
Yeah.
Linus Ullmark has to tighten it up. And I know that he did at times last year show that he can be his Vezina self. To me, this team, it runs through Brady Tkachuk. We understand that. Jake Sanderson. Its success seriously is tipped on how Linus Ullmark performs this year for me.
Big time.
And thank you. Because also, I know that there's some GMs out there. I had Linus Ullmark as my 10th best fantasy option this year because that's what he can do. And his numbers are good. When he's good, he is on. He's lights out. But when he struggles, he's got like 4 or 5 in him every single night when he's in that head case, when I see it. So what I saw from him that night, yeah, he made some okay saves, but 4 and 5 goals every single night for a team that is still so relatively young in the Ottawa Senators, he has to tighten it up, and that will be closely tied to a lot of this team's success. Thank you for mentioning Artem Zub. He's the top pairing with Jake Sanderson. I think some people need to pay attention to what value that can bring. Steele, I know we're not doing bets, so we'll keep today extra short. I got one more player here. This is definitely a deep cut again for the Keeper Dynasty. Let's keep today short and sweet. Back over to you for wherever you want to take it, my friend.
Well, let's get to break. I got 2 more players who I'll talk about when we come back. But again, you got to keep your eyes peeled. Stay tuned in to what's happening with these injuries. Stay tuned in for who's playing well, any line shuffles. That's what the waiver wire is for every single Sunday now. Instead of Mondays, we will be posting those episodes, and we will be back after the break. Once again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review for your boys here, Flip, Livingstone, and Steele Rodin.
Thank you.
I wanted to come on here and show some love to some defensemen. I talked about Nikita Zadorov, Artem Zub, Keandre Miller. What a debut with his new squad as well in Carolina. 2 goals. He's a +1, 2 penalty minutes, 4 shots on net, a block and a hit, 2 hits, excuse me. And I just think this is a really good opportunity and a breath of fresh air for a very young, capable defenseman who maybe over the last year or 2 was struggling in New York. He gets this opportunity in Carolina, and it's just a great start to the season for him in that 6-3 win over the New Jersey Devils. He's going to put up triple digits across the board in all shots, hits, blocks, which he's done over the last 4 consecutive years now. I'm not saying he can get back exactly to his career high of 43 points from 3 seasons ago, but that would be on the high side. It might be a little bit, it might be a lot to ask out of him, but I think 35 points is definitely in the realm of what Keandre Miller can do. And I'm just going based as well as what the Carolina Hurricanes, identity and culture is. Defensive minded first. We know they can get it done offensively. I think when it comes to the players on the blue line for them, Jacob Slavin, Shane Gostisbehere, who runs that first power play unit, Sean Walker, who's been decent as well, who both Keandre Miller and Sean Walker on that second power play unit. However, I'd say career high is on the high side, of course. I think 35 points is what is realistic for Keandre Miller, but Banger League beauty with all the peripherals he fills out.
I would say I'm comfortable.
And at 22% rostered on Yahoo.
Thank you very much. I'm comfortable saying he's going to eclipse 40 points this year, Steele. The Carolina Hurricanes are going to be a good team. They were a top 10 offensive team last year as well. I hear you. They are Rob Brindamore, grind you down. They are defensive, hang their hat in the defensive end. I totally agree with you, but that's also changing somewhat. With the emergence of players like Seth Jarvis, Jackson Blake, the addition up front of Nikolai Ehlers, they're trying to change that identity. I'm not saying they're going to change the way they play, but they definitely don't want to be considered an offensive sleeper. I think Keandre Miller is safe at 40-plus points in this system. However, one of those goals was a kind of a pooper. So 2 goals, he's only done that, I believe, one other time in his career. Don't expect that every single night, but I love that you're coming on here and highlighting this player. Look, Beckett Seneca is a really good young player here for the Anaheim Ducks. I've spoken about the Ducks probably more than most people should, considering they will still miss the playoffs this season in most people's opinion. Steele, oh my goodness me, they are loaded with talent. Pat Verbeek in the front office might have to now slide into the top 5 with Billy G, Zito, and some of our other boys as GMs that need a lot of love. Cutter Gauthier, Beckett Seneca, Leo Carlson, Mason McTavish. They also have on the end, I don't even just need to say it, number 2, Jackson Lacombe, number 1 in my heart. And all of the other players they have on the rise, and Dostal in the cage. Beckett Seneca lit up the OHL for the Oshawa Generals. And I was looking at this kid's numbers. 86 points in 56 games last year. He was the 3rd overall pick. I don't know if he'll stick this year. I don't think he will, but if you are in a keeper dynasty league where you can add and keep young players, and this guy is out there, I'm telling you, this is one of those Uncle Flip specials. Stash this kid. He is going to be a star. I like what I've seen from him. He scored in his first game, Steele. He is also, by the way, I had to look at this. His stat line for game one, 3 hits, a block shot, a goal, 3 shots on net, and almost 18 minutes of ice time on a team with a lot of good young forwards. There is value on the rise here with this player. I was excited about him before, and now I'm fired up. So tap into him. You're on mute.
One last player. The mute button gets me at least once a week, so hopefully that's the only time here. But there's a lot of great options that we're suggesting. Last player before we end this episode, I wanted to talk about Frank Nazar once again. Really good season so far in the game Chicago's played. 1 goal, 3 points in the 2 games, a +1, 4 penalty minutes, 5 shots, 2 hits, and 2 blocks. He just seems very calm and cool and collected every single time he has the puck on the ice. And so far from what I've seen, because I watched both those games for the Chicago Blackhawks against the Florida Panthers, against the Boston Bruins, he just looks really good when he has the puck on his stick. He's confident in the offensive zone. He's not afraid to drive those plays and be creative. And it doesn't depend on Connor Bedard alone anymore in Chicago. So he's already upward. He's already up of 20 minutes of average ice time compared to the 15 minutes of average ice time he got last season in the 53 games. And I don't think it's far-fetched to think Frank Nazar can put up 60 points this season. He's going to be getting a lot of opportunity. I mean, last year he was getting 15 minutes of average ice time. He's already upwards of 20 and a half minutes of average ice time this year. I think he can get close to 200 shots. I think he can get close to 60 blocks, 60 hits in the National Hockey League. And I don't think it's just for now because there's nobody else. I mean, who else is there in Chicago besides Connor Bedard? And in that top 6 forward group, I mean, you've got Tyler Bertuzzi, Teuvo Teravainen, Andre Burakovsky.
Yeah.
Frank Nazar is the second guy in line behind Connor Bedard, in my opinion. At 21% rostered on Yahoo, the Chicago Blackhawks have a pretty decent schedule this week. Utah Mammoths, St. Louis Blues, Vancouver Canucks, and the Anaheim Ducks. So more advantageous than most weeks. I think Frank Nazar is a good pickup in week 2.
Definitely, he's been one of those sexy fantasy names that's been mentioned a bunch in the lead up to drafts. And now that we're here and he's started off the season well, definitely even going to be more attractive. And by the time you listen to this, Thanksgiving weekend here, he's probably going to have his percentage even higher. Speaking of which, Steele, we don't get sentimental on this show very often, but it is Thanksgiving. We've been seeing the compliments, the comments, and all of the feedback across the channels. I can speak for both Steele and I think, on this one when, Steele and I love doing what we do, and we couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you for all of the positive feedback, the comments. Means the world to both Steele and I. I appreciate you too, pal. Couldn't be doing the show without you, for sure. And honestly, after how long we've been doing it, I think we're just getting started in terms of what we have on tap. And I hope that mostly means, selfishly for me, that I have a good fantasy year in one of our listener leagues. So I'm thankful, but I'm also going to be a little selfish just because that's what I do in terms of making bets. I love you. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there.
Love you too, bud. And I do think you'll bounce back in one of the fantasy leagues. However, I will be there making sure you don't win over me. Thank you so much for everybody out there tuning into the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast, making it your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button. Leave a 5-star review. We'll see you back here on Tuesday or on Monday, and happy Thanksgiving.
Much love.